All right, mate, what's happening?
Assalamu alaikum.
Buongiorno.
Hello guys, you are watching the 10th installment of the Welsh Esports League. I am Jammer, joining me today is McCready, and I think we've got quite a few exciting maps for your viewing pleasure today, but let's start off with how you're doing, McCready. How's things going?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm quite happy to be here, coming back for another season for the CS2 side of things. It's very exciting. I know I deal with the more than on the Counter-Strike side. It's just so enjoyable to watch. It's such a nice change of pace as well to get into just something simple but also complicated. It's something that's exciting but can also be pretty, I just love a bit of Counter-Strike. Who could say no to it, really?
Yeah, of course. That's what we're all here for. We have finally reached the playoffs, but it's been a long old road to get here, and you can see at the bottom of the screen the groups. It was kind of what we expected from most of the teams this season. Of course, the SEA Dragons topping Group A. Wouldn't expect anything less, but on the other side, Pit Ponies kind of topping Group B might have been a surprise for some people. I believe they were seeded 4th, so not necessarily the front runners of things, but yeah, I don't know what you make of things, McCready.
I mean, I'm quite looking forward to this because the game we've got today is SL going up against the Pit Ponies. Like you say, the Pit Ponies, that kind of underdog coming up to the top of that group there, whereas SL, they had that 2-1 game, really, and the two teams in terms of win rate. So I'm quite excited to see this because I know numbers don't always tell the full story. We'll see kind of how matched up these teams are. If you take a look at the bracket, you see the playoffs bracket that we've got for yourselves today. We have the SEA Dragons going up against Artists, but the game we're watching, like I say, is SL versus Pit Ponies. I've not seen SL at the moment, so I don't really know what to expect. I'm quite excited to see what they've got up their sleeve. The maps that we're going to be heading to as well is something quite exciting, me, Jammer, because I know we've got a kind of nice spread of maps, don't we?
Yeah, I think these maps are kind of brawly in that you don't typically see a lot of executes on them. You're more kind of going to see defaulting, trying to take map control and jostling for utility and positioning in that way, especially for the first map, which of course is going to be Overpass. I do believe, we're going to be hopping straight in actually. So yeah, we've got a best of 3 format between these two teams. So the knife round is kind of redundant in this case, but I guess we'll witnessing the mauling in action. It is going to be Pit Ponies on the T side, SL on CT. So I can only assume that this is the SL map pick. But yeah, we'll have to see if if we can actually get that configured into the game. Now, McCready, to set this one up, we've talked a little bit about how the teams did throughout the groups, but
yeah,
one thing that I wanted to kind of get off you is how important it is to start with confidence this one.
I mean, you can't kind of understate the value of that. I mean, depending on what side you're going to be on, it doesn't really matter because having that confidence to be able to win those gunfights is so key. On the T side, you have to have that confidence to push into the site, push into the lines of sight the defenders are going to have, and you need to win those gunfights. On the CT side, really, you've got to have the exact same thing for the opposite. You cannot feel afraid of the attackers. You cannot feel afraid of a fast push. You have to know that you have to win these gunfights out. Looks like a very aggressive push over towards that A long side. Not going to find any marker at the moment, but hopefully you'll find the Pit Ponies will have somebody over towards that A bomb site just waiting. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, and a bit of utility will go out to mark this execute onto site. And yep, that's A going to be entirely abandoned, which means that rotate's going to be coming through from those toilets areas now. While a plant no doubt goes down and gets a bit of cash at the side of SL.
Oh, that's a unfortunate way to lose the first opener, and it's going to be a quick retake from the CT side, not letting this T side get a post-plant situation. The bullets are flying through, but no conversions just yet. And just as I say that, the CT side is pushing through very aggressively, aren't aware of the last player, but Large Lewis goes down, and that will be SL picking up the first pistol round. Teams a little bit the wrong way around at the top of the screens. We'll fix that shortly. But yeah, a really good round from SL. And the fact that they played information to start that round, you know, stacking up towards B, it can work very well for you. But when you're giving so much site space away, if Pit Ponies were able to get into good positions, then that could have been a worrisome situation.
Yeah, it's very high risk, high reward. I don't think the Pit Ponies, they kind of realized the site was clear, but they didn't realize how much space they had to work with and that they had a little bit of time. For SL, like you say, though, they just pushed. They just took that control. They took that space. That round wasn't for them, and as a result, Pit Ponies will be up at least a couple of rifles, try and take a couple of gunfights, and a bit of damage does go out, but nobody will fall just yet. So they're going to back it up, play it safe a little bit. Brips has that scout in hand, so they have that movement to work with, but not really the stopping power behind it. The rotate looks like SL are going to just go back to this A-bomb site. They're going to just try. But here's the thing, they're going to have Stonkin and Brips both waiting for them. 2 rifles with no a couple of ends and an MP7 to try and get them onto point. Util will have to follow, and it'll have to be a fast push if they want to win the gunfight and at least get the plant down to get that money. Scout goes that jumps, it will find its mark. The Util follows, the flashbangs go out, and the player pushes the cover over by Optimus. They'll be able to just jump in. That's the site taken. Lep is there to try and help out. Gets one, gets a second. But it's going to be the nade from Morgan. It finds that round, and Large Lois goes away. And another round for the SL. Another retake as well on that A site.
Yeah, they don't even need a retake. The Pit Ponies, I like the way that they structured their move towards bathrooms, but it was just that last step of the execution onto site where they fell over and didn't clear their corners. Their util wasn't quite on point, and that's really what let them down, especially the firepower disadvantage they were in for that situation.
Especially with the fact they didn't get the bomb down. They don't have that money. They're going on to an eco round now, whereas SL, they've got the equipment, they've got the weapons, they've got everything they need really on paper. It looks like this might be a bit more of a quiet round for the Pit Ponies. They might just have to, you know, see what happens. And if you could get a couple of picks, sure, why not? Take them. Utah will go out. They know they're playing over towards that mid side. And they just, yeah, get the mollies up. Just slow them down.
Yeah, it's a good idea from the T side to slow things down and just waste this utility. You're kind of trying to make this expensive as possible. Maybe get a few kills, and if you're really lucky, a plant. But it's going to be a tough point to get there. They have lost a bit of damage, but too worrisome. And I think, you know, the key factor here for the CT side is to make sure they keep their players alive, make sure they're staying healthy, so they can build up that economy and keep themselves in the firepower advantage situation. But we should be seeing a push here come through.
Yeah, like you say, they want to keep that economy with them. It's not there just yet, but Lep is going to take the steps to get there. They will find 4 kills before they get traded out by the Silly Willy. And the retake refrag will come out from Morgan, but Silly Willy's able to get not 1 but 2 kills there, as Gilly's going to fall as well. And those are 2 players that are going to have to buy up the weapons, have to buy up the equipment. And yes, they can afford to do so. It's a little bit of a dent, especially now that we hit Ponies going into their first full buy round. And this is something I'm looking forward to. We haven't seen them with rifles so far. We haven't seen them with the utility. How's their execute going to shake up now that when they're not being pushed into these kind of rush situations?
Yeah, that's the key question, especially with an SMG and FAMAS being bought through on SL side. Oh, that's an unfortunate nade combo. Trying to fight for that fountain control, and there's so many players stuck behind this smoke in towards playground. I don't know if SL are aware of it, but they look like they're at least trying to fall back and are kind of running away with their tail between their legs after all that utility damage.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to commit too much to this fight. If Pit Ponies is anything to go by, they know that there are going to be a lot of them going, probably the whole team, which in this case there is. So yeah, backing up definitely in the right place. Just buy the time, wait for that full team engagement. Let that SMG of Lep just hold that A alongside and just wait. At least be in a position to refrag, which I believe they are. With time ticking down with 1 minute on the clock, Pit Ponies have to make their first big action of this game so far. Lewis is able to find 1 kill, but Brips has the refrag there, and that takes down that A-long pressure, so it's all down to this toilets push again. Stonking with the FAMAS will look to find a kill, won't be able to get it. X will find that head. And suddenly Brips is waiting for this retake, as are the rest of the team. Morgan's able to find a kill, but can't get it in second. And with Brips taking the AK at 2 versus 3, and Pit Ponies might be able to get the plant down here.
Oh.
And they definitely will, with Bips being taken away over towards that A-long side.
Yeah, it's a tough retake. I'm surprised Gilly isn't saving this, but perhaps thinking the players are low and there's an opportunity, but can't get past the first. And that's a nice take from the Pit Ponies. It got a bit dicey there, especially with Brips towards long. They could have fallen in many different situations, but when you're hitting your shots, that's all you really need to bring these rounds over, and that's a first round for the T side. Yeah,
and I think that's something I'm really happy to see now that they've got that utility, they've got the economy, now they've got the first round. Now they've I feel like mentally, that confidence you wanted to talk about, Jammer, that's so important, is getting that first round on the board. The first 3 rounds that we saw SL win, they were economy rounds. They didn't really have much equipment or weaponry with them. So that was the big thing. Winning that round just then is huge. But what we're going to see is SL going for the eco round. And with 4 players being dropped off by the AKs, that is going to be pretty much the end of it. The scout is still there and will stay alive. However, they could just rotate around, go to the other side, and get one down for that. So the Pit Ponies are in a very strong position, whereas SL, they just wanted to get that round out of the way, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, SL did catch a few players off guard towards the top of the playground, and they had that opportunity to get some trades through, but can't quite convert, and that's unfortunate for them, but it is just that low econ round. You want to just throw your players out there and see what you can get, but not going to be able to get much here. Zucifix should be able to pick up the last kill. I'm not sure if they're aware. There you go. They're aware in the end. It is going to be 3-2 towards the Pit Ponies, and it's so important to win consecutive rounds on that T side, because things can really spiral out of control when you're not picking up consecutive rounds, because it just allows SL to build their economy, but also it stops your own economy from being able to build. So really important round there. And now again, SL, if they lose this round, they're going to be stuck on another eco.
Yeah, there's definitely a mental block as well on this one. So consecutive rounds, you start to feel the pressure a little bit more. And SL, like you say, they're going to be in that position right now, realizing if they don't make something happen, that the economy is going to be, it's going to be gone. They've spent the money that they needed. This could set them back another few rounds if they don't make the most of it. Pit Ponies, though, they don't have that problem, and they're just going to start looking towards this mid push. They're going to want to go from toilets to A shore, get that plant again. They know there's going to be at least 1 or 2 players there waiting for them, so they need to make sure that they're hitting their shots and the util's being used properly. Time ticks down, and we find ourselves about 1:10 left in the round. They haven't really committed. It feels like they could go either way. They could go towards this A side, like they've done towards the later half of the earlier rounds, or they could rotate around to B.
Yeah, they seem a bit indecisive. It seems they're moving towards B in this situation, but I'm really curious to know why SL have rotated away. You know, they had such strong setups at the start of this round, and they've just kind of been conceding all over the map. Finally pushing on short for the Pit Ponies. That will be a kill for Lep, which is a nice opening and help the standing moving forward. But yeah, interesting way of playing the map for SL.
Yeah, but now that those first kills going out, they now know where this attack is going to be coming from. They have to push that B side. Morgan and Silly Willy will each get a kill. Gilly has an answer of their own with that M4A1S. The smoke goes out to try and buy them a little bit more time. Forces T's into just pushing in. The nades will go out, look to get that kill, get that final piece of HP, but they're not going to be able to. Large Lewis will take them down. But in the meantime, a flank has started to come through, and it's all down to the one other point. Large Lewis finds Lep as well and stonk him. But on time, it's going to come down to the SL. They really needed to just keep Brips alive, and they did that beautifully there.
That was a really chaotic round. Large Lewis almost clutching up for their team, and that would have been an important round to win. Key factor, though, I've been harping on the economy a lot, and the fact that only Brips at SL means that they are not going to be working with all the bells and whistles. They are going to have to make concessions and sacrifices across the board in this next round, whereas the Pit Ponies, they're buying up fully again.
Yeah, they can afford to do that. They've got a round or two to work with, whereas, like you say, SL, they're kind of stuck with what they can afford, and they have to make the most of it. Again, seeing that scout coming out from stonking, hopefully going to have a little bit more damage than we've seen from last time. And it looks like we're going to find ourselves at a toilets push yet again. I feel like Pit Ponies, when they're feeling confident, they like this A side, but when they're not really too sure about how a round's going to go, then they might start thinking about the B. But with the smoke there, Stonking will be able to find that first pick, and in doing so announces that they know that those players are there. Rotating over towards A long, they need to trust that Brips has got that toilet side, so they just need to hold that long angle. And with the scout, what better way to do that than jumping around, bouncing around, having a grand old time. Just misses the player on long, but will look to find that head. It's just, is it going to be offered to them? That's the big question here. Fadtrek will be taken down in toilets. Xconfig will have will have the refrag. And now the scout is really getting overwhelmed on the point. Morgan is in support, but we're Silly Willy finding that kill. Lep and Morgan are left on their own. Playing on this truck position, they've got that MP9 in pocket, they're just taking the damage, they're waiting for the flank, and Gilly strikes at the perfect time, is able to find Lazy Young, as Morgan's able to go and get Exufig. They'll keep that round in the board, pick up the AK, pick up some util, but that was a very tough round for SL there. Pit Pony's very confident at that point.
Yeah, the Pit Ponies had it all to play for. They had the kills, they had the majority of sight, but they just got a little bit stagnant, and it was just enough time for the flank to come through, and what an instrumental moment it was to trigger. So good play from SL. I kind of want to give props to Pit Ponies. You know, they're taking the advantage, and they don't really very heavily if they're getting this close to the site, if they're getting the kills and so on and so forth. But it is about that finish, and we've seen them struggle a couple of times now.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. We're just seeing... Just SL, they're able to get these retakes, they're able to get the coordination, just the perfect timing. It's really tough for the Ponies when you see them getting so close every time and they're just not being able to eke it over the line. Again, though, it looks like they're going to be wanting to go towards this A side. It looks like they've brought quite a few rifles to try and take control of it, but Brips and Stonkin, they're not going to be afraid either. Large Lewis so storms onto the site, finding one kill for their troubles, not getting another because Brips is there in answer and finds another one to boot. Morgan, with that AK, will have the cross, which gives them a little more, allows Pit Ponies to realise, right, we need to back things up. This probably isn't going to be the name of the game. Look at that, though. SL have done an almost full rotation to that A site. They've only just dropped someone back down to B because they've only just realised that Ponies might change their mind. It doesn't look like they're going to, but it might even be worthwhile.
Really nice reset from Pit Ponies, and it's caused exactly what they wanted, but there's still a player on site. Lep being instrumental. Silly Willy able to convert, but instantly traded, leaving Zusifig in a 1 versus 2 and it all to play for.
Exactly, time ticking down, 25 seconds on the clock, having to push onto that east side, but going towards the stairs side. Morgan, knowing that they're there, will be able to find it, and just what felt like a formality there, that round being shut down. I do like seeing SL taking these gunfights. They're confident, they can hit their shots, and they know that they can. It's just that SL, when they do lose these gunfights, they're making sure they have another player to back them up, and that's what I like to see, is they've got that refrag potential, whereas Pit Ponies, they're losing players. I think the last 2 rounds they've lost their opening picks, and they didn't have a refrag to answer with it. I need to see a little bit more kind of coordination for that, and for a team that pushed together the whole time, it feels like you should be able to expect that. Zusafig, though, will be providing it, and Gilly able to find a couple of kills as well, and now 3 versus 1 already.
Tough situation, though, not a lot to work with, and it should be Morgan closing things out, able to survive a little bit longer, but Brips will round the corner and will calm the tides. It's just going to be 2 players dropped for SL, so they can maintain their gun advantage. Pit Ponies back onto the rifles, and they've not had a good start to this. You know, they had those 2-round streaks, but past that point, they've only got the bomb down once, and that's not a winning formula. You need to be able to close a little bit stronger, and I think, you know, they've been so hesitant to go for these end round situations because SL have been so keen to play further back on the sites, and yeah, they might lose the initial fights. I said the rotations are so close because they're playing so far back and so compressed that they can just rotate in time for that trade.
Exactly. Now, the thing is this a side issue, or is this something inherent of a more core issue with the team? We're not really going to find that out for the time being. We still have a couple of rounds left to follow. Morgan's able to find that opening pick onto the Pit Ponies, and no one's there to get that back up. And it looks to me like that might just be one to just keep those CTs down towards that B site. Don't let them push up and don't let them realize that no one's around there. But I feel like Lep might be getting that information right now going up that underpass area. And the slow push from the T side will be spotted. Brips is able to find one kill. Does a lot of damage to Lewis, but doesn't find that final bullet. And in doing so, we will find ourselves in a 4 versus 3. They're in Park, Lep's on that flank. They know exactly what's happening. Able to find Lazy Young and put a knife in between these two T's at the moment. And now they just their time. Large Low is finding Stonking. Can push onto site, but the nades are there. The molly goes out and cuts them off. Time ticks down as Fatrick will fall as well. And it looks like this round is all but done for Large Lewis. Lep's there just to close it down again, and another round for SL. Now they're really feeling that confidence and they're getting that momentum.
Yeah, the communication's not quite connecting there for the Pit Ponies. They didn't communicate that Leopard flanked all the way around. They're able to get 3 kills for free pretty much, and that's really where it falls apart. The Pit Ponies, they need to figure out a way of taking this map control without just being grouped in one area, being so susceptible to the flank. And it took SL a while to figure it out, you know, that they can take liberties and things like that, but they haven't needed to up until this point. It's 8-2, and at this point, the pressure's all on the Pit Ponies just to get a few rounds together.
Yeah, because here's the thing, the halfway scoreline, there's not really much more to work with. They have to make sure that they can play really strong now to at least give them going into the next half when they focus on that defense. And waiting right here, Stonkin will spot a player but will not find that kill. The orb not landing its shots true. Goes for the wallbang. It's just not going to happen. But again, the information's there now. Brips is going to start moving towards that long. And you can see just over towards that B bomb site, you can see that they're starting to get a little antsy on the CT side. They want to start going for a flank. They want to try and get behind them. They're just waiting on that little piece of information from the defenders on site. They're just waiting for that confirmation to go for it. With Lois able being taken down by Brips, the AK falls. And again, that hit to the economy at the very least has just been taken. 2 players spotted towards A short. And as a result, you will see that rotate come out from SL's B players. But that orb is going to be horrible on this angle. Zeusafig has to know that they're going to be playing there. So does Lazy. But they have to push it anyway. They can't just sit there and wait. The scoreline will not allow it. And as a result, it looks like they might have decided to try and go for a long push. Or at least go for some form of rotate, which is going to put them right into Brips.
Yeah, Brips. Oh, sorry, even Gilly is lying in wait, and this is a perfect situation, but there's a lot of pressure on their shoulders. They're not ready, and their trade comes through, but that's bought enough time for some rotations, at least a big flank from the long player, and this is pandemonium. Zeusifig's going to try and push him behind, but all their teammates are falling on the wayside. There's not enough time to... just barely enough time to plant, I should say. Zeusifig picks up one, and suddenly this is a prospect that they can go for. SL have thrown this away.
Yeah, it's all down to Brips now. A 1 versus 2. They know exactly where this player is going to be coming from. Player in heaven gets picked off. They're going to find Zeusafig as well. And they're going to be able to get that defuse down. And a huge recovery there from Brips. But how does it get to that point? The Ponies, they lost an engagement. They were in a really tough position to start pushing in. But they were able to bring it back, get that plant down. I love that I managed to catch that audio thing, little cue from Zeusafig there. They pushed through that site. They heard that player drop over towards that bank side, and they realized that they needed to turn around that very second because it was so easy to miss that. They didn't. They were able to find that. They got that audio cue, got that kill, and gave themselves that heaven control for that execute of the site. Very well played. And as we find ourselves on the last round of this half, you can see Pit Ponies just having to dump everything they can into their equipment.
Yeah, it's all to play for here. Do or die moment for the Pit Ponies. And I've got to say, that last round must be a confidence knocker, especially for the Pit Ponies. But it seems like both teams were trying to clutch defeat from the jaws of victory at some points there. Onto the final round of the half, though, it's definitely SL in the better position. And I've got to commend SL on their utility usage. You know, you saw Large Lewis died to that flash swing, and this situation is so tough. Zeusafig going down to the corner of the smoke, just not ready in these situations, and the players are ready for the fights, and they're able to get some of these entries, but in this situation, with Brips having this much confidence, it's not going to do anything.
No, Lep will also fall, however, but the player advantage firmly in favour of SL. Looking to get a 10th round onto this half, and as Stonkin peaks that long, is able to find Lazy Young. Silly Willy and Fatrick, they're going to have to just consolidate and decide that they need to hit A or B. Doesn't really matter. They need to do something and to do it together. Fatrick doesn't have much HP, so Silly Willy's going to have to be the one to take those gunfights and lead that charge. And they've passed Brips entirely. That's what I love about this toilet position, is exactly this can happen. They can just walk by the CT, and as a result, it looks like they're going to rotate. They think it's a B push. They think they're heading down below.
There's no way. The time, though, look at the time. There's so little time, and Brips has finally triggered their flank. Still not aware of their position, but need to be aware of everything. Silly Willy, there's no time for this. Stonkin's just going to play it out, and that's it. 10-2. SL with a dominating start on Overpass.
Oh, right. Okay, that worried me at the end there when Pit Ponies, they looked like they baited that rotate out perfectly, but no, it was like you say, Lep was able to just get on that flank at the end there and just get that kill immediately. Yeah, they got refragged, Rip, sorry. But the information was there. Stonky could come back. That really flipped entirely. Because then they get the util that's been put down, the rifles that have been put down on the site, and that's the round in their pocket. We're seeing a 9-3 scoreline instead of a 10-2. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the Ponies map pick. So I'm a little concerned to be seeing this scoreline.
I don't think it's the Pit Ponies map pick.
Yeah.
You might be right, actually. Yeah, we'll double check on that one. But yeah, I would have guessed that the Pit Ponies picked into Ancient, considering they got the CT side on that one. But we'll have to wait and see. In any case, 2-10 is not an ideal scoreline to be working with, and to get anything in this, it all starts with a pistol round. They just need to get some confidence, and I'm not sure that they're going to be able to mentally reset in towards the next map if they don't pick up this.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very tough job. The real lot of work put onto IGL, who sat there trying to just get that energy back up, get that motivation there. Morgan, a very nice pick over towards B, and it's nice because it's giving that information away. SL are playing such a slow advance towards this A site right now that the Pit Ponies might not even be aware of this. They might be looking to rotate around, but it looks like they're holding their nerve. The USPS is on site. The push will come out. Morgan and Deucefig each find a kill. Brips has one as Gil and Morgan just clean it up. And a very quick but quiet execute from SL as they take that first T round and put the Pit Ponies at another round deficit.
Yeah, that's a nice structured round from SL. They send one player towards B to just sell the fake, and it completely works after that entry kill. Pit Ponies withdraw all the way back to the A site and not really spotting for information. And by the time the hit comes, it's too late. All of SL is ripe and ready in that position to take advantage. So Pit Ponies, it's a really tough task to come back into this one. They are going to be on an eco, so it should be a fairly quick round for SL, but I guess the name of the game now is just try and get some confidence, try and keep your mental strong. And okay, Large Lewis has started off well, but the trades are coming through, and yeah, it's the script back on track.
Yeah, there we go. Fatrick in that 1 versus 4 has an opportunity, but isn't really going to have the equipment to make it worthwhile. Lep's going to take it down and put SL onto match point. 32 seconds for that round. It felt like it went by even quicker. Because when you're SL, you know the enemy's on an eco, just go for it. Though the Pit Ponies, they've got to dump everything into it. Again, match point, they need to just take... They can't afford to get anything wrong now. They have to dump everything in they can. No saving, no waiting. They're fully at the mercy of SL here. Got that full utility. Have all got the weapons they really want. The fast, aggressive weapons. And it looks like they're just going for a fast push onto that A side. The util pushes into mid, just to flush those players out who might be playing nearby, as we've seen SL do before. And Pit Pony will lose their first player in Zeusafig. Lep will push forward, and Molly's out that bank position. The smokes go down, the fast executes there. The cutoffs are there to try and stop that rotation over. Lep's aware the flankers come through, finds Les Young. And suddenly that plank goes down, and we find ourselves at what seems like the end of this map. Morgan will find Silly Willy with the refrag of Stonkin. And now 2 versus 1. They know where one of those players is because somebody had to be on the boost. And now the T's are just going to sit pretty and wait for the smokes to dissipate.
Not much to do in this situation. Pit Pony's backs against the wall. It's all on Large Lewis and Fatrick to come back into things. And they've just been re-smoked. It's done. I'm calling it. There's no way they come back into this.
They need something massive. They really, really do. And a coordinated push out of the smoke might be what they need, but it just isn't. Lep's able to find Lewis and finds Patrick. Yes, they lose a player, but that is going to be the SL side just taking that round and taking that map very confidently. That's Overpass already done. The thing is, like I say, that was Pit Pony's map pick. The next one is SL's map pick, and it's Ancient, a map that I'm very excited to see. I really do enjoy watching it, but at least to give you a little bit of context on this one, Jammer, at the moment, in all the previous games that we've seen, all the previous playdays, both of these teams have only played Ancient, so hopefully for the Pit Ponies, they've got a little bit more confidence on that map than we saw in Overpass.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a tough situation to be in the Pit Ponies case. You know, you join the game, you get a couple rounds in the first half, not really a lot to work with, and you just can't really get into the game. It feels like you didn't connect to the server, and it can be such a demoralizing hit. But moving on to second map, it's really important for the players to just refocus their mental, try and reset, maybe take a walk and forget all about that game. Because when you lose in such a fashion like that, you just have to mentally write it off. Like, okay, we didn't show up for the first map, but there's more opportunities in this. We need to come back into things in towards the second. But yeah, it's really just up to the guys to see what they can do. I've got to say, you know, commendations to SL. They played really well in this match. You know, from the way they were using their util to play off each other, the way they were rotating around and willing to give so much space towards Pit Ponies. It was like they were giving Pit Ponies all the rope they needed to hang themselves with.
Yeah, and I feel like there's confidence. There's just that I don't want to say competency because that's not it. It's just that depth of understanding. I feel like that's a better way to word it from the side of SL. Pit Ponies definitely had it as well. They had some good reads. They had some good ideas that just didn't translate properly. Is it going to happen on Ancient? Well, we're going to find out, but we're going to take a short break before we do, Jammer. So go get a drink, go get some food, but make sure you're back here when we start our next map.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that short break. We are gonna get back into the action as soon as possible. But yeah, just to reframe things in case you missed the first map, fairly quick first map. Yeah, SL just came onto the server swinging and throwing haymakers. Pit Ponies, they were not able to withstand any of it, and it was a fairly short affair. You'd be a little bit worried if you're a Pit Ponies fan right now, but there's still opportunities for them to come back into this. Now, McCready, I know you like a nice ancient game, but what do you think of the Pit Ponies' chances moving forward?
I'll be honest, I'm worried. I feel like there's potential, but they need to really step up and kind of just little things, just micro positioning maybe. I feel like is something that can always be looked at, but realistically, kind of when they're going for these executes, are they having any flank watch? Is there anybody just dropping back a little bit just to be on the safe side? Because we saw that SL were more than happy to take advantage of that more. I feel like going on to Ancient is a map as well there. They need to be able to commit properly to a site and at least have that second angle of attack. I mean, it's a map where you don't really have that one position you could just rush in from, like overpass. You just all go long. You gotta have that split element. You gotta have someone going donut if you're going through palace. You've gotta have somebody going ramp if you're going through cave. We really need to see a little bit more ability for Pit Ponies to split apart and play separately, but together. That's the big thing I'm looking for now. And as we start, we're not going to have a knife round. We are going to have Zeusafig finding the opening pick onto Stonking in the pistol round. Looking for some more, but just can't find it. As Lep and Brips will each find kills of their own. Rotating around to B now. The heads will just be picked off by Silly Willy. He's able to find 3 kills to start things off. Brips is there and has a refrag, but now has to go up against 2 defending players before they can even think about getting that bomb down. They need to get a bomb in their hands first and foremost.
Yeah, a lot of time for Brips to work with, and we've seen just how good they can be in the clutch. Pick up a Molotov, but I doubt they'll use it, trying to take advantage of the timing. But Large Lewis is positioned so well for this exact play. Brips needs to be checking their corners, and I don't know if the timings will work out for them. It's going to be a push through from Brips, and they will engage. Oh, that was an unwarranted push. Large Lewis will be kicking themselves after it, and Lazzy Young versus Brips 1v1 now.
Exactly. Like you say, time ticking out, 40 seconds left on the clock, and Case still in Lazzy's. The bomb is still in Lazzy's hands, but now they're in that 1 versus 1. Brips has a much stronger chance of winning this gunfight because they don't have to worry about getting that bomb down now. What they do have to worry about is time. They don't really have much to work with, and there's no real reason to look at saving. You might as well try and go for that gunfight. Pushing towards cave. I don't think Lazy suspects that they're coming from that position just yet. They're shift walking, which means they haven't given the audio clues. They turn around at the right time and find the head, and Silly Willy will get Pit Ponies their first round, and the first round on Ancient so far. And I want to bring up a little stat. So at the moment, Pit Ponies, they've won they've actually won all 3 of the Ancient games that they've played, that I can see at the moment. These are pretty dominant scorelines that I'm seeing. You know, they won 13-11 and 13-3, so they've done quite confident. Whereas on the flip side, SL have only dropped 7 rounds on Ancients so far, and they've played it the same amount of times.
It's going to be a big push onto Large Lewis, and they'll go down. Nice execute from SL, using Force by great effect. This is a tough.
Exactly. That plant has gone down, like you say. The player overlords Donut, just with the last bullet, is able to find Brips on the flank, but not before the other player that gets taken down. 3 versus 4. The util will go out to try and get that retake from the side of Pit Ponies. As Silly Willy is able to find a double kill to get them back to that fight. The push comes out. Lazy Young's not able to find it. Lep gets 2 kills. And now it's all turned again. Silly Willy with 3 HP is trying to keep them in the round, and it's just not going to happen. SL will launch themselves right back into the game, get at least a gun in their pockets for the trouble, and we'll get that economy moving.
Oh man, I really thought Silly Willy had clutched it up for their team in that double spray down, but Lep and the reposition from the big flank all the way from main into mid was just a killing blow, and that's a really big round to pick up for SL. Winning the round after pistol has a much bigger effect on the economy, and you can look at the effects. Pit Ponies, they're forced to force into this, but they've only got a smattering of util armor without head armor pistols to defend this.
And they're going to have to deal with these rifles charging at them. As you can see, Stonkin's able to find Zeus ready towards that mid-side. The Molotov going over towards Cave does hint towards that B push, but the Pit Ponies, they don't have to commit towards that. They don't have to stick it. They can rotate if they want. Looks like they are going to want that B-bomb side. They do really just want to make that one work. And as they slowly push towards ramp, Lazy Young will be able to find a kill onto Morgan. A very nice shot with an Eagle, gets a second. Can't find a third, but doesn't necessarily need to. A 3 versus 3 now, and the push will be going onto that B-bomb side. They know they've cleared it out, and now the CT Pit Ponies will have to go for the retake with the pistols in pocket and an SMG. Stonkin over towards Cage is going to be huge here, but left, they just spawned onto Lazy. It's just going to shut down any chance of a coordinated retake as Large Lois goes over towards those palace doors and finds Gilly. Gilly's going to be looking for the gunfight. The Galil does get picked up, so there's a chance. With a flashbang follows, Lois is going to win it. Runs out to Stonking, nearly wins that gunfight, but as Stonking runs out, will just about win it out and keep around in favor of SL. And a good opportunity there that they just couldn't get over the line.
Yeah, it's a valiant attempt, but again, little bits of micro positioning, just Fatrick over committing to that K fight, and when they go down, the B site instantly just collapses at that point. So a little bit of mistakes coming through for the Pit Ponies. They did pick up pistol, but that confidence, we've talked about it a lot. They must be feeling so down and in the dumps because they're just getting rolled over from these aggressive SL plays.
See, the thing is, it's something that they can match, but the problem is when they don't only have the pistols in the pocket and maybe it's such just want to take a fight with. The confidence gets not like you say, and that's they can't allow to fester. They can't let that keep going. On the side of SL though, they have A. They can walk onto A right now, but you can see they're already posting up over towards that B side, ready to chin if they really want to. Looks like they're just going to bide their time. Wait a minute and see if the Pit Ponies want to get aggressive, want to give them anything, maybe a free kill. No, the Pit Ponies, they can't allow that. So they're going to rotate onto B. They're going to go rotate onto the site with all 5 defenders playing on or at least right next to. This is going to be a fun round.
It's a James stack from the Pit Ponies, just rotating into position and just holding fast. It doesn't really matter what SL do. Pit Ponies, they're going to commit to this position and could be to their downfall as the utility comes through. This is a full execute. Players mollied out of position, and there's the first to go down. A couple more dominoes to follow.
Exactly, Morgan, Stonkin and Fatrick all finding kills as Stonking finds another one. Morgan and Stonking just cleaning up house here. The pistol's just inadequate against the AKs. And now Zeusafig over towards his cave side is going to be the last player in the game. Will try and pick something up and try and at least get some to account for the loss of this round. Is it going to be Morgan? Yes, it is. Zeusafig finds them and takes down that all the way up to that 100 HP damage mark and just runs away. They know they're not winning this. Get the economy, get the weapon. At least next round, you can afford to at least buy somebody a gun or give them the AK and buy yourself one. Get some util. Just something to carry on forward. SL, they're going to keep getting this round and they're going to find themselves at that 3-1 scoreline again.
Yeah, again, aggressions from SL, but Pit Ponies are able to escape with an AK-47, and that should help in spades, especially because they're going to be buying in this round regardless. So it's a little bit of a buffer, just enough to get them a few extra bells and whistles in towards this. And this is a very important round for the Pit Ponies. First gun round of the game. They need to at least take some middle control, or maybe take a lane and really show that they can bring the... Because if you just let SL dictate the pace of things, they will die.
And the thing is, we know they're confident as well. We know that they can win these gunfights. They can get aggressive when they have the gun. So when they got the first gun round on Overpass. So I want to see that again. On the defense, you don't want to play super aggressive. You want to position and play together, which is what Zeusafig and Lazy were looking. They were able to find a kill, but they weren't able to get any line. And in doing so, have just lost 2 players towards that mid side. Still, though, Pit Pony know where these players are looking to be pushing. They know exactly what SL are kind of positioning towards. They want to go for that A side, but now as time starts to tick down, the possibility of that rotate is ever creeping forward. You can see the Pit Ponies want to kind of move more towards A, whereas SL are thinking they might want to go on towards that B bomb site a little bit more. So it's a question of chicken now. Who's going to rotate first? Who's going to give it up? And it looks like they've both commit at least one player of was at A side, which means there'll be something there. The execute onto B does come out. The push follows. Stonkin's able to find Fat Trick, but with the smokes, Gilly can't find a player to back them up. And now Stonkin has to find a second. They're going to be able to do it. That one player on A is going to rotate all the way to B because they've been hook, line, and sinkered. And they're going for that gunfight. Yes, they're able to find Stonkin, but that plant is going down on A already. And in doing so, that gives SL that perfect defensive position.
Perfect defensive position, but Large Lewis has been instrumental in some of these rounds. Hero CS at play, but with them being knocked down so low in health, seems as though they're going to give another round over, and I don't really blame them. Pit Ponies won't be able to buy up in towards the next round, so it's important to keep this M4 alive into the next and just buy a little bit of a lifeline, try and crack the door open and win yourself some opportunities, because that's really where the Pit Ponies have been falling down. They haven't been giving or getting these opportunities. SL have just been so willing to trade, so willing to fight, and when you're aggressive all over the map, it stretches your defense so thin for the Pit. Any sort of just opens the floodgates. So they really need to recompose themselves, fight together as a team, and maybe play a little bit more risky. You know, it maybe send 3 towards mid or 3 towards B and take some more aggressive control. I know it didn't work for them in mid last round, but that doesn't mean you should give up that space. You need to keep trying these things until you force the respect out of SL, because they just aren't respecting you right now.
I think I have to agree on that one, because you say when, yeah, it didn't work out well last time they pushed aggressively on mid. They were able to find that kill to start things off. They had a player refragged. They had all the right pieces, not necessarily playing the right tune, because they didn't have necessarily the right weapons to take those gunfights. So taking SMGs up against rifles, it wasn't a great spot to find themselves in, but I liked what they did. They played it aggressively. Lep will be able to start things off by clearing out that position with a frag grenade. And it looks like that top mid, yeah, that's just been opened up. Morgan could just start to walk through and has that free choice, like they're going to hit whatever site they decide they're going for. They could just rotate over. Stonkin takes a bit of, but does find ahead of Silly Willy. It looks like B is going to be the execute too, because why not? They have those player advantages. They're able to find another one towards that main and possibly Large Lewis as well, as Vatrick does fall. It's all down to Large Lewis again in CT spawn. And how many times is it going to come down to Lewis? I mean, we've seen them in these positions so many times that plant has gone down and Lois just has to try and make something happen.
Well, they're not going to be able to do it in this round. 5 versus trying to save this rifle in again, and I'm too critical of these players, but the Pit Ponies, they're being a little bit lazy with their protocols and with their clears. You know, Lazy Young tries to clear out middle, but doesn't clear their corners, and Morgan takes advantage. Large Lewis taking advantage of a lazy clear from left, but they will be traded out again. And you can kind of see, you know, SL, they will stretch that defense thin. And as soon as Zusifig goes down towards red, you got players straight away taking that position from SL. And once they have that kind of pincer movement in towards B, they can cut off the rotations, completely just pick apart the defense on that B site, and then just roll over the round in towards the next. So nice structured play from SL. You can see they've got some good mid setups to get the players space. And you're going to see a straight A play here. So they're stack is in the right place, but can I do anything with it?
Something we haven't actually seen from the SL side at the moment. They haven't really paid much attention to this A site in the early round, and as a result, that means Lois is going to be able to catch them off guard on the jump up. We'll find Gilly, but Lep has that answer and refrags him very quickly. Pistol round, you'll still take that for the little bit of economy boost that gives you getting that kill, but as the plank goes down, it looks like Pit Ponies are going to have to really look for something on this retake. They might as well go for it. They don't have anything to lose at this point. They only have the pistols. And I know that we know that they could do damage with it this time.
Yeah, it might even be a situation where you go for exits here, just because SL have been so willing to take these fights. And if you can pick up a few AKs, maybe do some damage to the SL economy, can help moving forward. But they're going to go for this retake. They've got some good positioning, but being flanked again, it feels like every single round, SL are finding these flanking situations. It's going to be another kill, and Zusifig, sorry, can't even save the final AK. So SL will bring it across the line again, 6 rounds to 1. And it really seems like SL have a good variety in their players as well. That's something I want to bring up. You know, we've seen them go for quite a few mid aggressions. We've seen them go for B. They've even had these slow defaults to just peter out the utility. But the Pit Ponies haven't found an answer for anything yet. So the SL have kind of an open playing field to try these strats on.
Exactly. They can feel confident. They know that they can make something work. They know that if things go wrong, they can probably pick it up. They have the equipment, they have the weapons, they have the gun skill. They can take those positions, and then they can just try something different if it doesn't work. Over towards mid, playing aggressively again, you can see that that player, Zuzafig, is up in towards red. Takes a little bit of damage, but doesn't take anything massive. Can still hold that spot, but it's Fatrick who's going to be the first to fall. Gilly will spot the player of Silly Willy with the AWP on that B side. They know that that player's there. Doesn't look like the AWP wants to re-peek it. Doesn't look like they want to get too aggressive over towards it. And that makes sense, because they're over towards ramp, finding Stonking instead. Lep is going to look to try and contest it after two riflers up against each other, but it's Gilly who's going to find that kill instead. They're going to strike, and that push over towards red is already complete. They have that player to cut those rotators off. They have that plank going down, and they have a pretty confident position, pretty safe spots as well, just to hold in on that long. Looks like the CT, they're going to go for that clear. They're going to try and make something happen again. Looks like they're going for more of a split push, possibly a bit of cave and back hall push, a retake, if that's something that they can manage to do. But it looks like they have to change their mind. They've just decided to save their weapons again. The thing is, Jammer, you can't just survive off save rounds.
Yeah, it's stuck between a rock and a hard place. You know, it's just an impossible situation. You won't be able to bind towards the next if you die, but at the same time, a 6-1 down, you need to get some rounds at some point. So Pit Ponies, they'll opt towards getting a save, and they should be able to drop some rifles across. So they give themselves another opportunity to come into things, but they're running out of these opportunities with a 7-round streak. You know, the T side is feeling super confident. They will take these fights, and you need to win these rounds, but win them healthy on the Pit Pony side. And they don't look like they're going to get anywhere near that right now.
Yeah, the momentum's definitely not in their favour now. They need to try and find some kind of stopping for the SL. Try and catch them where they're not ready. They're not sure what to do. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like they're finding that at the moment. It feels like they're just running into the welcoming arms of SL. And one example is Morgan, as they're able to find not one but two players towards mid, and with the quick support of that upper player over in window, that means that they're just not going to get contested at all. Stonkin applies a little bit of pressure over towards this ramp side player. It's going to be Lep who finds that refrag. Silly Willy does get taken down. Again, the refrag game, the numbers game, is again coming in favour of SL, and now Fatrick and Exifig. They have to make it work. Fatrick isn't going to be able to do it walking into the waiting arms of Gilly. And now Exifig, the plant will most definitely be going down. And they're in a 1 versus 4 retake against 3 AKs and an AWP and a bunch of utility, which just isn't going to happen, let's be honest. They're just going to wait another round and just at least keep the M4. Why not?
I want to highlight Zuzafig in this 1 versus 4 situation. You know, usually in a 1 versus 4, you're kind of just resigning yourself to just being like, okay, well, they've got the site, I can save, or you know, be fairly confident in which direction they're coming from. But Zuzafig was just sat there looking at every single direction like they were seeing ghosts in Vietnam or something. You know, these flanks from SL have been so disastrous that Zuzafig's so wary of every single angle they can be taken down from. And even going for the save, you know, they were able to get away with one, but now they're being encroached upon and surrounded again.
Yeah, it looks like Grips is going to be able to find that player and knock them out of the round, take away that weapon from the next round. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, they could just say, right, okay, we'll take some time, we'll sit back, we won't do anything, we won't give anything away. Maybe you'll find an exit frag like Zuzafig has been able to do once or twice. But you just kind of sit back and you wait. You let the round end, you let your team talk about what's happened. That's just not going to happen. SL, they're hunting it because they know they can, and they're confident enough to do so. Utility will go out. Looks like a fast push over towards that mid side, possibly going mid to A. And you can see that with the slight breakdown of where the CTs are playing, that might actually be definitely the right play for them as they move away from the majority B side.
Yeah, I was just going to say the bomb's over towards B ramp, so I feel like this is a set play. You know, SL trying to sell a fake, maybe throw this util out super early just to get this map control and really cause Pit Pony some trouble into deciphering where this round's going to end. Lazy Young should be taken down here, and yeah, Stonkin will clear their corners. They'll start to encroach towards this B site, but yeah, I do think you're right. You know, the SL, they're trying to position themselves and posture towards this mid to A kind of a setup, but they've got 2 lurks in this situation. That's how confident they are.
Yeah, and on the flip side, you see Pit Ponies, they're biding their time, they're waiting until they know what's happening. Silly Willy, the only player with the AWP on A, all by themselves, has a flashbang that they will use to buy themselves a little bit of time. But Fatrick falls. Morgan will be able to find Silly Willy as well. And now Large Lois has an answer, and a much needed one, as the first player to drop from SL will land. But Brips and Gilly both going to close that round down. The plank goes down again. And another round for SL. You feel like a broken record saying it. They're going to be able to find it. 3 players hitting the double-digit KDs there.
Really good round again from SL. I think it got a little bit, transparent or one-dimensional towards the end with just one player committing in one position. But if you're not able to punish it, then you're just going to be able to keep going for those kinds of plays. So SL go again unpunished. Very structured play from them. And Pit Ponies, they're going to fall to the wayside again, as this is a much quicker play. Change of pace, and it's nice calling from SL. It's going to catch the Pit Ponies completely off guard.
Exactly. And again, not necessarily something that SL needed. They're not too desperate for strats, but something they'll definitely take. They've got that donut cut off. They've got that temple player. They're just ready for whatever has to be thrown at them. Gilly's able to find 3 kills to close out that round there towards the mid side. Just catching that rotate beautifully. Realizing with the aggressive push on A, they're going to be fast retaking. They're going to be running up that mid. They're going to be going up to CT. And you can see they had both players in both positions to counter. It just happened to be Gilly, who then joins the rest of his team up on that 10 kill mark. And it's just Brips kind of lagging a little behind in that 8 kills. Whereas Pit Ponies, none of them, I think, are finding that 10 kill at the moment. They're really struggling for each kill that they can get. They're really having to work for it, aren't they?
Yeah, Pit Ponies running up that hill, but they're never reaching the top. SL just dumping Lard down to make it slippery. And oh, look at this play from Stonkin. I'll be caught off by Silly Willy, but the site is theirs and they have so much space to work with. It's going to be an uphill task. Lep flashed off. That's good team play, and I like to see it. Zeusy Fig punishes, and suddenly this is a 3 versus 4, but that flash should be good enough for 1. Oh, just as I say that, Zeusy straight killing today, and this is a good prospect for the Pit Ponies to get a second round.
Is they have that player advantage. Morgan's going to bring the damage tick down just a little bit more in their favor, but with that bomb being down, like you say, the Pit Ponies, they still have to push. Zeusifig, he's there going for that defuse, but it's going to be Morgan able to find it, stops that defuse going down, and Brips with the HP advantage is going to be able to just shut down that defuse. And a round in favor of SL, the closest you feel like they could come to getting that round, getting another round on the board, and it just struck away from the SL, who will find themselves on a 1-11 half, which is even better than what we saw in Overpass.
There's a little bit of panic there. The Pit Ponies are like, oh my god, we've not been in this position before. We could get around, and suddenly you just forget where you're looking. Your teammates are spraying in the corner of a smoke, and yeah, it just loses grip. They lose grasp of that situation. Unfortunate, but it's been the story of this game for this situation. Pit Ponies 11-1 down, and need to get an important pistol, but honestly, I don't know. They might have just given up at this point.
I know. I feel like it was starting to reach the realms of, do Pit Ponies themselves believe that it's possible? Well, they're going to have to really step things up, especially on that T side, because now you can see they're going to have to run straight into the waiting arms. Something that it feels like they've been doing it a couple of times on their CT side. Now they're going to have to do it for real. Whereas the side of SL can slow things down, they can wait, but they're not really going to want to. Leg and Stonk are able to find 2 kills to start off. They're going to take that mid control, they're going to start pushing towards it and reinforce that B-bomb side. They know that's where the execute's coming, the util's coming out there. So now that USPS is just going to be cleaning up Brips and Gilly, each of their own, finding the heads of Fatrick and Zeusifig. And we find ourselves on match point to knock the Pit Ponies out after what feels like barely 2 games, like barely a game at all.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Pit Ponies, the ponies broken their leg, and I just want someone to put them down at this point. It's getting a little bit worrisome. The SL, they've put on a good showing. I think, as we round out this game, I want to cast our minds forward towards the rest of the Premiership. Because on the other side of things, SEA Dragons, this is a team that SL is familiar with. And if SL are going to show up like this, then we might finally see a challenger rising to the occasion of the SEA Dragons. But they've got to close this round out.
I really want to see that. And you look at it, Zeusifig's able to find a kill, but when you look at the weapons in favor of each team, with kills coming out, it might be a lot closer than you think. Deagle's able to find the kills, and the Lazy Young will go down. Silly Willy will join him as well as Lap and Morgan are going for that retake. The plan isn't going to go down. And now, as Large Lois goes down, Zeusafig again in a 1vx situation, just trying to stay alive to make it happen, but they have to win out the round this time. 2 players low HP, Zeusafig is going to win out that gunfight. And now 1 versus 2, this is a much better spot to be in, but they know where they are. The Deagle shot comes out and Stonk in 2 HP. Looking to close it in style. He's going to back away and give it to Morgan. Zeusafig has to push out here. Has to take that gunfight. Will win 1, but not the 2nd. That's going to be Morgan shutting them down. And then in a close end game, the Pit Ponies will be knocked out of Well Season 10.
Commiserations to the Pit Ponies. They showed up, but they didn't quite show up on the server. SL, on the other hand, they were looking so strong and dominant right now, and they will progress towards the finals, where they'll meet the winner of Artists versus SEA Dragons. Now, I think we can have an idea about how that one's going to go, but not going to be a case that we know the situation until later this evening. So you'll have to tune in next week to find out. But on the other side of things, I'll just quickly check if the championship games have concluded, or if we can find out what the scores are on that. And they're not quite showing up for me. So no update on the other side of things. We'll have to see how things fall later on or next week. But yeah, in any case, SL, they played immensely well today, and I am excited for this final coming up. You know, SEA Dragons, they've won so many of these well seasons in a row that we were kind of just writing them off at the start of each season, just be like, okay, well, this season, you know, it's more of a question of who can kind of fight for that middle position, because you know who's going to win the whole thing. Whereas with SL fighting this hard and this strong, and with how kind of structured they look with their plays, we might finally have a contender.
Yeah, they've really given a very good showing for themselves. Confidence, cohesion, most importantly. And they have those contingencies. They've got that depth of a playbook, especially when we saw... I mean, in case we know that that's the only map they've played so far, but we got to overpass. They know the map, they understand where they need to be at what time, they know where they need to be to support the team, their players, and they know when they can go for these flanks, when they can trigger these executes. I'm really excited to see how it goes. And this finals, like you say, we don't know who they're going to be facing. We don't know who's going to be in there in the championship. But like you say, it's going to be exciting, especially if SL play like they have today. I know I'm not going to be casting. I'm definitely going to be watching it, and you might as well. And if you do want those updates, even before we get to that point, check out the social media of Well and Esports Wales as well. Because if you do want to get involved and you do want to stay up to date, that's the best way to do it. Get in the Discord, get on the Twitter, and if you do want to get involved and try something out, by all means, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Community engagement is where communities like the Welsh Esports League and so on and so forth really thrive. So make sure to get involved. Really, really good games this week, and I'm hoping that we see the same next week. But that's going to be it from us today. Tune in next week for the grand finals.